I've heard that there are a whole bunch of people out there who are afraid of doing odd count peyote pieces because they're afraid of that funky turn at the end. And that's just silly because there's a bunch of different ways to do it, and I know how to do all of them, and so why don't I tell you all about them? Let's take a look at some beads here, and I can tell you in beads. Okay, so I'm making like the world's smallest little bracelet here. And I just picked up 5 beads for my first set. I've come back and I'm adding my first new row. And your first 2 beads, you add just like normal. On this end, you're always going to have a normal turn. So there's nothing to worry about. It's on this end, when you get to the point where you've just got this one loose guy left, and you need to add 1 more bead to finish this row off, this is where you get to the oh no, what do I do now part. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to go through the traditional odd count peyote turn. And to do that, what you do is you're going to have to work your way back through that loose bead towards yourself, and then through 2 more beads on the diagonal. Now you're only going to have to go through 2 extra beads for the first row that you add here. In the future, you're only going to have to go through 1 extra bead. So 3 on the diagonal here. You'll probably have to convince that new guy to sit just where you want him on the outside edge there, so you kind of coax him into place. Now we need to turn back around, because we need to get to this outside edge again. So the easiest way to do that is we're just going to pop back through the bead right next door to the one that our thread's coming out. And what's going to happen is when you pull your thread, the thread is going to just suck right up into this intersection, this line right between these 2 beads. Poof, there it goes. I think a lot of people want to immediately go on the diagonal and come out that brand new bead that we added, but the thing is, that's the wrong direction of this bead. We need to be coming in this direction. So to do that, we'll go through 2 beads on the diagonal so that you're coming out the bead below it. And now we can turn around and come back. Now we've added that bead, we've secured it, our thread's coming out of it in the right direction. I flip it over, and now I'm ready to do my next row with no problem. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through that again here. Let me get to the other end. So here, this is a normal turn, nothing weird about this at all. Okay, so here we are at our problem child. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to go in the bead below it, where this new one is going to sit. So below it, towards yourself. And remember how I said you only have to go 2 beads instead of 3 this time. Coax that guy into place. Then you're going to come back up, 2 beads on the diagonal, coming out 1 bead below where our problem child bead is. That thread just hides right in that intersection. And now we can go through our problem child bead in the right direction. Flip it. Okay, so let's say, that's great, Jill, that's really cool, but I'm never going to remember that because that's a whole lot of weaving around, and really it's just a figure X, so I know you can do it, but let's just pretend that you have, one of those days where nothing is working for you and you can't remember the sequence, and you're like, really, isn't there an easier way? And the answer is yes. So let me show you the second way that you can add this bead. Pick up the bead, and right here, the 2 beads on the outside edge, prior to where you're going to put your new bead, there's this thread, and actually it's a couple of threads, but there's this thread that's sitting right along that edge. You want to take your needle and you're going to poke it underneath those threads. Then you're going to have to encourage that bead to sit where we want it to, and you can immediately turn around and pop through that bead. And right about now you're thinking, well, that's so easy, why don't we always do that? And the answer is some people do. But the downside of doing it that way is simply that right along this outside edge where you're doing that turn, it does actually create extra bulk there with an extra thread path. So depending on what you're making, that might make a difference, it might not, but just keep that in mind, that that is the downside of doing the loop under the thread. Okay, so let's say, well, that's great and everything, but show us what you got, Jill, because you said you had 3 ways to do this. So let me quick come down here, come back up. This works really well if you are working on a pattern, a chart pattern. And I have a video on how to follow, to read charts and follow charts. I'll pop up a link to that. If you're following a chart pattern, what you might want to do is along the chart edge, just cross off that one edge. And when you're doing your chart, do not do that last odd count bead there. So what I would do here is I'm just going to not even worry about adding that bead in. I'm just going to flip this piece and come right back, do my next row, do my next row. We're just going to pretend like that doesn't even exist. So basically we're just doing even count peyote. It's going to look a little bit weird if you're doing something that's centered because it's not going to be centered because you're missing one row, right? Okay, so let me get back to that edge. All right, so here's where you can see this is where I was adding that odd count bead, and then here's where I stopped adding that odd count bead. So after you've finished your entire piece, you can go back and actually brick stitch that last row on. And a lot of people choose to do this also. I think it's a really good way to work it too. So with brick stitch, I will have a video for that, and I will pop a link up for that on this video. You're going to have to pick up 2 beads, and actually I was using white for that outside edge, for your first stitch. You're going to skip the first thread intersection and go to the second thread intersection. You're going to go right back up through that first bead that's right above it, where your thread came out, and then you're going to circle back round through these 2 beads. That straightens them on up. And then in this case, I only added 2, so if you need to attach it back to ones you've already done, I'm just going to circle around these 2 beads to attach those together and connect them. Make everything sit like little soldiers. Voila, and you could do that down an entire row and just brick stitch that piece. And that's another really good option for you. Some people like brick stitch, some people don't. But the benefit of doing that is that you don't have that extra thread path going on the outside edge that bothers some people. So now you have absolutely no excuses for not doing odd count peyote, and I want you to practice your turns. Just do what I did here. Just do a little section, I can say it, and practice your turns, and then you won't have any problem in the future, and you won't even consider it a reason not to do something. So please feel free to comment below. You can like this video, you can subscribe to the channel, make sure that you get all the videos, and you can find me on my website at jillwisemandesigns.com. I've got a bunch of really cool patterns for you to do, including some that are odd count peyote. And please come find me on Facebook too and show me what you've been working on. I really love to get a handle on what everybody is doing. Thanks so much for joining me.